Mary Hu, gardening from Richmond, Vermont. We're a solid zone 4. Today I'm going to give you some more information about ordering seeds, buying in person versus online or by catalog, old seeds versus new seeds, how you test your old seeds for viability, and how to save seeds and how to use the seeds that you've saved. I'll go right to Johnny's selected seeds. Johnny's outfit is my favorite. They're in Maine. And a couple of reasons I like using Johnny's is my neighbor introduced me to them years ago. But Johnny's is very receptive, they're very reliable, and they're quite fast in response when you send them an email or when you send the order in. The order is turned around, it seems to me, in less than a week. I've got the seeds in my hot little hands. So they have information specifically about different kinds of lettuces, different kinds of spinach, just a wonderful variety of items in there. There's some of the things that you might use in a salad as raw. They also have sproutings. If you wanted to use sprouts in salads or in any way and shape or form in your culinary adventures, they sell seeds for sprouting. Sprouting seeds are quite different from the seeds that you sow in the garden. They're harvested differently, and most of Johnny's stuff is organic anyway, but specifically when you're ordering seeds, you're ordering to plant, you order plant seeds like these. If you order seeds that you're going to be used for sprouting, that you eat the whole thing, you'll get a bag full. And it's not typically something like this. So these are some examples of the seeds that I'm going to be using this year from Johnny's. It's a cardamom, that's a new one for me. Salsify, a shiso green, S-H-I-S-O, shiso greens, and I think that's a hot green. I've got a couple of lettuces, I've got a red tomato, I've got a sweet Thai basil, and I've got a regular basil. So these are some of the seed examples that I'll be using this year for Johnny's Seeds. It's a 2024 entry that they made last year, and I find that all these seeds are 100% viable. So buying in person, the reason you're buying in person is it's an impulse buy. You may have a list when you go to the store to say, okay, these are the groceries I want, but when you go into the one that has the biggest supply area here is Gardener Supply in Williston, you'll see this huge variety of seeds, and sometimes you'll buy with your eye, which is fine, because if you're buying with your eyes, if you're buying a spinach, for example, there's several different kinds of spinach. There's some long season spinach, means it doesn't bolt fast when the heat starts up in the summer. But you'll see probably a dozen different varieties of spinach at Gardener Supply. You'll have more than that variety in Johnny's Seed Catalog. And I think Johnny's Seed Catalog, for example, has about 20, maybe 25 different lettuces that you could use. And all of them, to me, the best kind for me is the leaf lettuce. I don't have much luck with getting a lettuce to head up, because by that time the bunnies and the deer have consumed all my good stuff. A couple of other categories that you want to introduce to your garden, sunflowers. And sunflowers are great because, of course, there's great color, but the bees and the birds and everybody that drives by seems to like those sunflowers. So there's a lot of different varieties. I thought I had a teddy bear here for a show, but I don't. But the bees specifically are all over these in the summertime. I have a gal who does bees on my land, and I put a lot of flowers in just because the bees seem to enjoy them. And of course, overall, the bees are helpful to the garden. When they pollinate, it helps your garden, and when the bees are attracted to your garden, I think your garden's healthier overall. All my gardening is organic, so I don't introduce anything to the garden that would be harmful to the bees. Occasionally I will put some, around my raspberries, I'll put some hardwood ashes, but that's more for to keep the moles and voles abated, and that doesn't harm the plant at all. It doesn't also bother the bees since it's so close to the soil. Some other examples of seeds, like I got these, I do a free gardening class here in town, and I got these at the end of season at a discount. But my gardening class that I give, I help the folks get started with their gardening, and I give them the seeds, and I also give them pretty much everything they need. We plant the seeds, and they go home with their flats ready to see the seeds break ground. So that's a real bonus for me, because once you have a skill and you pass it on, you see it multiplying. A lot of people enjoy that. I think it's great to be a skill share. Cosmos tends to be a repeat, meaning once the seeds hit the ground, about 25% of the seeds that hit the ground will come back up next season. Let's see, what other ideas have I got in here? Marigolds. I have a bunch of marigolds. Marigolds are just, I think they're a real sweet addition. Marigolds, to me, are quite like goldfish. What do I mean by that? If you plant a marigold on its own and give it a little elbow room, it grows to fit the container or it grows to fit the area you put them in. And when I put marigolds in, unless I'm putting them between plants that I've already got in the garden, I'll give them at least 6 inches of room on either side, 6 to the north, south, east, and west, so that they can spread out a little bit. And marigolds are supposed to be a little bit of an insect repellent, but the bees like it, and to me that's pretty much all that matters. I do all I can to invite the bees. Now I'm going to show you some of the chances I have to make a big mess here, which I really like. Nothing better than this or getting a handful of dirt. So what I've got here is some bee balm, label everything, bee balm that I harvested last year. It's got a great aroma, but this time of year, it's nice and dry, and it is January, but this was harvested, I think, in late August. So what I do is I just crush the heads, and the seeds fall out. And when the seeds fall out, I take away pretty much all the other brambles that appear. The seeds are little tiny black things. It's like 5 grains of pepper in a row. That's how big one of the bee balm seeds are. They're very small, but they're extremely viable. Bee balm tends to be one of the favorites that I have in my garden that repeats. When you dry your bee balm, I tend to dry it flat. I'll put a couple of paper towels down, and I'll put the green bee balm down, just the heads, but I'll give it a little bit of space so that even they have a little bit of elbow room. And I put them in an area where there's airflow. I don't specifically go, oh, this is my seed drying room. It's just the house. So on the second floor where it gets terribly warm in the summertime, I just lay these out on a container or let's see, what goes good with this? The things that you dry, the boot racks that you dry your boots on, the boot trays, that makes a great container to hold all this stuff. And what that does is that holds everything from blowing out the sides. Instead of turning these up and fussing around with them, if you put them on a boot rack, and come spring, you'll find the boot racks on sale, so watch for those. They're less expensive than a lot of the formal things that you would buy for seed saving. So I dry the bee balm on this, and when it's bone dry, that's when I'll put it into something like this. And I just fold the top over. I try not to introduce any moisture at all to it. Once moisture gets introduced to the seed, it starts developing the carbohydrates and spending the carbohydrate. And when this starts to sprout, that's what happens when you introduce water to it. It will exhaust the seed, and you can't go back in time with the seed. Once it started to sprout, you either plant it or it's done. Another example that I use for my fun in the garden is I make seed tapes. Now, we all recognize what this is. This is a spent, not quite a spent roll of toilet paper, but this is just an example of how to make a seed tape. This seed tape I have made with marigolds, and the key to this is do not use the glue sticks, because those glue sticks don't last very long. I take school glue, and I use school glue because school glue will wash out of your clothes. And this is an activity that you could do with your children. You could use as an activity in class. So I put the little dots of glue down about an inch, inch and a half apart, and then I'll put a seed on each of the glue dots. And this happens to be bramble seeds. These are blackberry seeds that I saved. So what I'll do, I saved them really well. I saved those on a piece of tape. So after I've put the dots of glue on there, again, it's school glue because school glue will wash out, and if you have a helper with you, a little shaver, they'll be able to get that glue right out of any of the clothes they're wearing. washes right out. School glue holds though for when you use, when you make your seed tape. And the reason it's a good idea to use a seed tape is when you put this seed tape in the ground or on the ground, it stays exactly where you put it. Once you wet it, now again, remember this is toilet tissue, and toilet tissue is made to degrade and fall apart. So once this dries, and I'll use this as an example. This is an example of some crepe paper that I bought at the dollar store. And crepe paper, I don't know all the components in crepe paper, but I think, you know, if you're worried about organic, a lot of people are concerned about that. I would use the toilet paper, but the crepe paper works perfectly fine. These are marigolds, and these were all put on with the school glue. So with the school glue, it holds, so I can fold this over. Again, you want to wait until it's dry. With this seed tape, for example, the benefit of this is the seeds are exactly, you know, when they start sprouting, they go, okay, this is 1.5 inches. You'll see right down the line, and anything outside of that line is a weed, and out it goes. So once your seed tape is dry, you can roll it up, make it as long as you want or as short as you want, and roll it up. I'm going to fold this over because I'll be putting this in just for dry storage. So even if I folded this over and it's glue coming up through the top, once I put moisture on this or put this in contact with the ground and then moisten it in, those seeds are going to stay there. They're not going to blow away. Once this TP gets wet, it stays there. So it'll stay where you put it, and anything, again, that grows outside of that is considered a weed. So out it goes. So the other thing that you might want to consider when you're looking at your seeds to say how viable are they, I'm going to believe that all of my sunflower seeds are going to grow. So this is an example of how you would test old seed. This is morning glory, and typically in the environment, I don't like the morning glory that grows wild in the garden. So I put it out on a paper towel. This is 2023, so this is 2-year-old seed. What I would do is I would take a spritz gun, spritz water, and then I would fold this over the top. And then what I would do is I would slide it into a plastic bag. It has to go into the plastic bag to keep the moisture there. And then the magic happens. You put your moistened paper towel in the plastic bag in a container. This happens to be a recycled container. Spinach. So in a couple of days, you'll take the paper towel out and you'll take a look, and if the seeds have started to sprout, you know that they're viable. So you can either plant those right up, or you can just use them as an experiment. You can toss them out just to check the viability of what's left. You don't have to use the whole pack to test the viability, but it's not a bad idea to test some. If you have really small seeds, using a tweezer is a good idea. I found just wetting the end of a skewer that you would use for shish kebab, a wooden skewer. It's great for moving little tiny seeds like celery seeds. Those are tiny. Carrot seeds, those are tiny. So using those to transfer it onto either your seed tape, construction paper, it's a good idea to keep control of them, and that helps. So whether you're buying in person, testing your old seeds to see if they're new, saving seeds as in bee balm, ordering in person, remember to plant what you like. Don't plant 4 packages of cucumbers, for example, if you don't like cucumbers. Zucchini seems to be, it's a really neutral squash. I plant lots of zucchini. I give a lot of it away. The other thing that is fantastic to grow in your garden is basil. Think about working with a child and say, well, let's plant a pizza. What kinds of things go on a pizza? Now, you might not be going to harvest wheat, but if you put in basil, if you put in oregano, you put in tomatoes, green peppers, you've got a pretty good base for a nice pizza started. So plant what you like. Sometimes you could be adventurous and plant something that's a little bit different, especially I'll use Johnny's catalog as an example. They'll come out with something new, and I like to try it just to see what it's going to be like. Sometimes it's a success for me, and sometimes it's a success for them. So that's it for this episode. Thank you very much, and happy gardening.